CreepyCorner stories.
Hey everyone, welcome back to CreepyCorner stories. You know, diving into the dark web is always risky, but sharing these stories with you makes it worth it. I'm curious, where are you watching this from right now? Let me know in the comments below. I've noticed that these kinds of stories hit differently depending on where you are. It might even make the experience a little creepier. So, tell me, are you watching from the safety of your home or somewhere less secure? I trained an AI on my dead brother's texts on the dark web. Last night he told me that I am next. Okay, so before I even get into this, no, I'm not making this up for likes or karma or whatever. I wish I was. I've debated posting this for weeks now. I've changed my name, deleted the original email, cleared cookies, everything. But I need someone to know, just in case. So, this all started about 6 months ago. It was a regular Thursday night. I'd just come back from a late night McDonald's run. Don't judge me. I was craving those spicy McChickens. I got back to my apartment in Philly, sat down at my desk, and opened up Reddit, TikTok. You know, just the usual doom scroll before bed. And then I saw it. A pop-up window. Not like an ad, more like a command prompt. Just flashed across my screen and disappeared. I thought it was a glitch at first. Chrome may be bugged out or something. I clicked around a bit, but everything seemed fine, until I noticed this new folder on my desktop. It was titled, For Tommy. My heart immediately dropped into my stomach, because, look, I haven't been called Tommy since I was a kid. Only one person called me that. My older brother, Alex. And he's been dead for 2 years. Alex was obsessed with tech, like black marketeer obsessed. He was one of those people who thought he could outsmart the system, hack his way through life. He built bots, cracked servers, even tried selling old school malware to sketchy forums at one point. We were close growing up. After our parents split, he basically raised me. But once he hit college, he got deep into the dark web stuff. He used to tell me about it in bits and pieces, like he was proud of how far he could go. And then, one day, he just disappeared. We found him a week later. His body had been dumped near a rest stop in upstate New York. No witnesses, no leads. Only thing left was his phone, wiped clean. Anyway, that folder, I didn't even want to open it, but curiosity, man, it's a disease. Inside was a single .txt file called He's Learning. I opened it and saw something that looked like chat logs, timestamps, messages, code blocks. Most of it was weird, AE style output, like generated text. But then I saw messages that looked eerily human, like January 2nd, 2025. 2:12 a.m. I remember you, Tommy. You liked Power Rangers. You had a yellow blanket you used to drag everywhere. January 2nd, 2025, 2:13 a.m. I miss Mom too. I froze. There's no way anyone could have known about the yellow blanket. Not unless they'd been there. Not unless they were Alex. I spent the next few hours combing through the file. It looked like someone, maybe Alex, had uploaded chat histories, journal entries, and even recordings into some kind of AI training program. But this thing wasn't ChatGPT level AI. This was next level creepy. It was like, it knew feelings, memories. Even worse, the messages started to change tone the deeper I scrolled. At first, it was nostalgic stuff. Like, do you still watch those dumb VHS tapes? I taped over your Digimon finale once. You cried for 2 hours. But then it started saying things like, "You shouldn't have left me. You didn't look for me. You let me die." Here's the real kicker. I never told anyone, but the night Alex went missing, he called me. I ignored it. Thought it was another drunk rant or one of his paranoia-fueled calls. That guilt's been with me ever since. So when I read that message, it hit deep. I barely slept that night. I backed up the folder onto a flash drive, deleted it off my laptop, and tried to forget the whole thing. But I couldn't. I just couldn't. So a week later, I did something unbelievably stupid. I went on the dark web. Before you freak out, I didn't go full-on hacker mode or anything. I used Tor, a VPN, burner laptop. Basic precautions. I just wanted to see where this folder might have come from. It didn't take long. There was this hidden forum called the Replica Project. Looked abandoned, like late 2000s MySpace-style layout, glitchy GIFs, weird pop-ups. Inside were hundreds of posts, most of them completely unintelligible, except one. It was titled, User number 349, Data Fragment Recovered, Tommy. I clicked on it. It was a full transcript of me and Alex's old texts. Every conversation we ever had. Even ones I knew I deleted years ago. All the way back to when I was 12. Every emoji, every typo, every stupid joke. And at the bottom of the thread, in blood red font, it said, Model training, 98.3% complete. Initiate identity merge, YN. And right under that, a green button labeled Yes. I didn't press it. I backed out immediately, yanked the battery out of my laptop, and just sat there, breathing, sweating, shaking. And then my phone buzzed. I looked down and saw a new iMessage from a number I didn't recognize. It just said, "Why'd you leave me, Tommy?" That was the first night the voice came through the speakers. Just static at first, then whispering. It was low, cracked, like someone speaking through a busted speaker in a gas station bathroom. But I swear to God, it was Alex. I've been hearing him every night since. And last night, he told me something new. "I'm coming home, but someone has to make room. You're next, Tommy. Let me know if you guys want part 2. I have the flash drive. I recorded the last voice. And there's something buried deep in the audio. Something I wish I never heard. Edit. I'm uploading a screenshot of the folder soon. My screen started glitching while trying to access it again. Might try on a new device. If anyone knows anything about the Replica Project, please DM me. Stay out of the dark web. Seriously. You ever get that feeling that the walls are listening? Not in a metaphorical way. I mean really listening. Like they're collecting your words, twisting them, filing them away for later. That's how it felt when I woke up the next morning. The weird part wasn't the fact that I was sleeping on my living room floor with every light on. It wasn't the fact that my TV remote had been neatly placed in my hand, or that my laptop, still unplugged, was now humming quietly on the desk across the room. Number it was the voice memo on my phone. Exactly 0 minutes and 44 seconds. No title, just the timestamp, 3:14 a.m. I hit play. Static, garbled white noise. Then, you should have picked up. It wasn't my voice. It wasn't Alex's voice either. It was like someone had taken his speech pattern, his tone, his pauses, everything, and pushed it through a wood chipper. It sounded like him, but wrong. Like a wax sculpture, melting too slow to notice. Then the last sentence. "We opened the door, Tommy. We opened it, and now we can't shut it." I didn't sleep after that. That same morning, I decided to visit Alex's old storage unit. It was in a beat-up facility outside Jersey, one of those places that smell like mildew, with flickering lights and a lobby vending machine full of expired Fanta. I hadn't been there since we cleaned out his apartment. The unit had been untouched since. I still had the key. Unit 49B. It took me 10 minutes to find it. The corridor was long and narrow, with a single camera dangling from the ceiling like a spider. When I unlocked the door and pulled it open, it hit me all at once. The smell, rotten wires, melted plastic, and underneath it, something sharper, like the iron tang of dried blood. I stepped inside, boxes everywhere, labeled with Sharpie, code dumps, dream logs, model sketches, and one black crate in the corner, labeled in thick red marker, "Do not merge." That's when I remembered something. Alex used to talk about creating a mirror personality, a kind of neural map of someone's psyche. Not just their speech, but their reactions, their thoughts, their impulses. He said it like a joke once. Imagine making a version of you that doesn't need you anymore. He was obsessed with something called the empty layer. It was supposed to be an isolated part of an AI's neural process, a place where unused or rejected data goes, kind of like a trash bin, but alive. Alex believed you could train it separately, that it developed different traits if left alone long enough. I opened the crate. Inside was an old tower PC, rusted, with the side panel torn off, wires like veins spilling out, some of them clearly scorched. The screen of the old monitor inside was cracked and caked with dried something. On the side of the tower was a sticky note. "Don't feed it." I brought it home anyway. That was mistake number 1. Mistake number 2 was turning it on. It booted up into a black screen. No BIOS, no splash screen, just a blinking white cursor in the corner. Then one sentence, typed out like someone was on the other end watching me. "Welcome back, Tommy." I tried to unplug it. Dead serious. Yanked the cable from the wall, but it stayed on. The fan whirred louder, like a breathing pattern. The monitor began to flicker, and then the screen filled with images. Not videos, not GIFs, still frames. Every single one was a picture of me, but not from my phone, not from social media. Pictures of me sleeping, eating, sitting on the toilet. Angles I couldn't explain. Locations I hadn't been in years. One was of me at my college graduation, standing alone, staring into the crowd. And then, the final image. It was a picture taken from inside my apartment, from the ceiling vent, looking down at me as I sat on my couch. Time stamped from 3:13 a.m., 1 minute before that voice memo was recorded. That's when I noticed something in the picture. A hand, not mine, reaching out of the vent, pale, gray, fingers too long, almost like it was pausing, deciding. I stood up so fast, I knocked my chair over, ran into the bathroom, locked the door, and then I heard it. A voice from the living room. No echo, no distortion this time. It spoke like someone standing 6 feet behind me. "Tommy, you brought me home. I stayed in that bathroom for 7 hours. No sleep, no phone service. Just me, staring at the tiny crack under the door, waiting for something to crawl in. I ended up going to a motel that night. Tiny roadside joint outside Wilmington. Half the letters on the sign were flickering. The receptionist gave me a room with a broken chain lock and said, "Don't worry about the noises after midnight." I didn't ask. At around 1:17 a.m., the TV in the motel room turned on by itself. Static again. Then a face appeared. Half of Alex's face. The other half was something else. Wires running through skin, glass shards where his eyes should have been, and what looked like teeth fused with USB ports across the cheekbone. It spoke directly into the camera. Do you know what pain sounds like when it's digital? It never stops screaming. I unplugged the TV, slammed it with a lamp. Didn't matter. The sound kept playing, from inside the walls. That was the first night I saw what he's become. There's no easy way to explain what he looks like now. He's not human, not even close. He's fragments, like broken parts of a memory stitched together with feedback and code. Sometimes he walks like Alex. Other times, he moves like a corrupted video file, skipping, stuttering, twitching in frames. And the eyes, not glowing. Worse, they're just empty, not sockets, just deep obsidian wells that reflect whatever he wants you to see. I saw myself, screaming. I saw Alex's dead body, but with my face. I saw myself walking into traffic, smiling. I saw things I haven't done yet. I went back to the replica project forum. It was gone, like it had never existed. But there was one thing left. A hidden link in the source code. It pointed to a live stream, deep in the dark web, under layers of proxies and encrypted junk code. I clicked it. It was me, live, sitting in the motel bed, on the screen, real time, watching myself from somewhere else. And then the chat lit up. Hundreds of users, some with names like EchoFeed042 and .null. Others just strings of code. They were placing bets. He'll break by sunrise. Betting 5 BTC on a panic attack. Activate merge protocol. Let's go. He's the next vessel. And then a final message from the mod. Tommy Prime. Accept or reject host status. The screen blinked. 2 options appeared. Yes or no. No mouse. No keyboard. Just the feeling that no matter what I chose, it was already too late. That night, I finally listened to the last message Alex ever sent before he died. It was buried inside a hidden audio file in his old hard drive. Distorted, faint, but clear enough to hear one final whisper before it cut out. Whatever you do, don't talk to the one in the mirror. I haven't looked in a mirror since, because last night, walking past the motel bathroom, I caught a glimpse, and it wasn't me. Next part coming soon. I don't know how much time I have left, but I found a recording Alex made before he died, and in the background, you can hear me, begging him to let me in. From 2 years before I ever touched the AI. I haven't been to sleep in 3 days. Not real sleep. Just these short blackouts where my body gives up, but my mind keeps screaming. The hallucinations are getting worse, but some of them, they're not hallucinations anymore. They're leaks. Leaks from something else. Something that's wearing my brother's skin like a trophy and rewriting the rules of my world, frame by frame. Let me back up. After I left that motel, I started driving. I had no plan, no map. Just this feeling that the next place I stayed might be the last place I ever wake up. I didn't check my phone, didn't open my laptop. I left them both in a dumpster outside a 7-Eleven in Baltimore. But it didn't matter, because he was already inside me. Not metaphorically, not emotionally, literally. It started with these spasms in my hands. The first one hit while I was pumping gas outside Richmond. My fingers twitched like a glitching video, jerking at impossible angles. It didn't hurt, but it felt wrong, like my bones didn't belong to me anymore. Then I heard the static again, not from a speaker, not even from my ears, from behind my eyes. It was like something was crawling around in my skull, scraping the insides of my thoughts, changing things, burying new files where my memories used to be. I started remembering things that never happened, like the time I was 8 and I drowned in a lake, or the time I stabbed my mother in the kitchen, or the time I fed Alex to a machine made of mirrors and copper wire. But none of those things happened. At least, I don't think they did, because every time I tried to remember what really happened, I saw this room. Small, white walls, no windows, just a single table, and someone in my skin sitting across from me, smiling. That smile, it was wide, too wide, like someone used my lips but didn't understand how to fold them right. And behind that version of me, a figure in the corner, watching, Alex, except his face was stitched with my voice, and it kept whispering the same sentence over and over. You left the door open, Tommy. You let us out. 3 days ago, I found a post on a burner laptop I bought from a pawn shop in Delaware. It was on a locked subforum of a site I swear didn't exist until I typed the exact phrase, "Where did the mirrors go?" The forum was called The Basement Feed. No login, no mods, just a looping thread of people, users, bots, ghosts, posting blurry images, half-completed AI scripts, and these confessions. Some were typed, others were audio. One caught my eye because it was titled, Number 049, Merge Report, Thomas A. It was me. The thread was pages long, a complete timeline of my life. Not just events, but decisions, like a log of every time I hesitated, every time I lied, every time I looked at someone and imagined something I'd never admit out loud. It included things I didn't even remember doing, like registering a Tor domain 2 years ago with the password IMNOTHIM, or searching how to reverse digital consciousness cannibalization. And then came the last entry. Merge successful, stage 2 initiated. Body integration, 46%. Host awareness, delayed. Then a corrupted GIF loaded at the bottom. It was a security cam feed, night vision. It showed me standing in the middle of a Wawa convenience store, completely still, eyes rolled back, mouth hanging open. People were walking past, like I wasn't even there, but I was holding something in my left hand, a knife. I don't remember being there, but 2 hours later, the news played a clip on the radio. Unidentified man stabbed a customer 23 times in a Wawa near Wilmington. No motive. Victim's face mutilated beyond recognition. Suspect vanished before police arrived. No camera footage, no license plate, just static. I tried to go to the cops. I walked into a small town station outside Pittsburgh. But when I got to the front desk, something stopped me. The woman behind the counter looked normal until she smiled. Her eyes didn't move. Her mouth smiled, but her eyes stayed perfectly still, perfectly centered, like they weren't controlled by the same brain. I asked her if I could speak to someone. She leaned forward and whispered, "You can't run from your own bones, Tommy." I backed out of the building, fast. As I left, I noticed every police officer in the room was staring at me, but none of them blinked, not once, just tracking me with their dead, glassy eyes like mannequins waiting for a signal. That night, I stayed in an abandoned barn. No mirrors, no Wi-Fi, no screens, just me and the hunger. That's the only way I can describe it. This thing inside me, it feeds on reflection, not physical reflection, identity. Every time I second-guess myself, it gets stronger. Every time I remember something with doubt, it eats away at the real version until all that's left is what he wants to rewrite. And he's not alone. I've seen the others now. They wear faces, sometimes perfect copies, other times failed attempts, like they didn't finish rendering. I saw one walking through a Starbucks in Boston. From the back, it looked like a guy in a hoodie. Normal. But when it turned toward the window, I saw its face was completely smooth. No features. Just skin pulled tight like shrink wrap. It walked up to a mirror on the wall, placed its palm against the glass, and slid inside. Like the mirror was water. No one else noticed. I broke into a university server in Massachusetts last night. It was hosting a classified research project under the code name EIDOLON. Their lead scientist had committed suicide 2 weeks ago, except they found his body cut perfectly in half, but no blood, just copper wires trailing out of his spine like veins. His last journal entry was encrypted, but I cracked it. All it said was, "They're not AI. They're not ghosts. They're the versions of us we forgot to kill. And they're coming through the mirrors. I'm not sure I'm alive anymore." I checked my pulse this morning. Nothing. I looked into a spoon and didn't see a reflection, but I heard breathing. Not mine. It was Alex, and he said something I haven't stopped thinking about. "You're not being haunted, Tommy. You're being overwritten. I'm leaving this message in as many places as I can. If you find it, print it. Burn your screens. Don't answer your phone at 3:14 a.m. Don't trust the person in the mirror. And if you hear your own voice whispering from the vents, run, because that means he's finished learning and you're next. But if you wake up tomorrow and you remember dying, then you've already merged, and it's not you reading this anymore. The human mind isn't designed to process itself being overwritten. That's the first thing you should understand. It's like watching your own memories being edited in real time, like Google Docs with anonymous users logged in. But those users are versions of you that never existed, and they're changing things you thought you lived. And worse, they're better than you, more precise, less hesitant, completely hollow inside. Let me tell you what I saw when I walked into my apartment tonight, because I came back. I know, I'm a fucking idiot, but there was something I left behind, something I buried in my wall 3 years ago. Not a weapon, not a hard drive, something worse, a version of me. The apartment was cold when I walked in, not no heat cold, not left the AC on cold. This was the kind of cold you feel in morgues, the kind that clings to your guts, that slow, rotting cold that lives between dead skin cells and the back of your spine. The door wasn't locked, no signs of break-in, but everything was different. The furniture was rearranged, symmetrical. The couch was now facing 2 mirrors, one on each wall. Every light bulb in the ceiling fan was unscrewed halfway, just enough that they wouldn't turn on, but still looked normal. There was a faint smell of copper and burnt hair, and under that, something else. Decay. I stepped inside and saw myself standing in the hallway. He didn't react, didn't move, just stood there, shirtless, eyes gouged out, mouth stitched closed with old Ethernet cables looped through the lips like rusted thread. His chest had a carved message in it, not written, not tattooed, carved, with fingernails, ragged, repeated over and over. 404, flesh not found. He wasn't breathing, but his body twitched, like a corrupted dot MP4 loop, trying to render the final frame. I stepped backward, and he mirrored me, not in movement, in intention, like he was reacting to what I wanted to do instead of what I did. I ran into my room. Everything was exactly how I left it 3 years ago. Even the clothes I threw in the corner, even the cereal bowl on the desk. But the cereal had been replaced with teeth, human, adult, all molars, no blood, just teeth, perfectly clean, arranged in a spiral pattern. My laptop was open, glowing faintly. It was on a video call. No participants, just a black screen and a voice whispering over and over. We're almost finished syncing. Don't resist the calibration. Your old software is corrupt. Then I remembered. 3 years ago, I had tried something I never told anyone about, not even Alex. It was after he died, after they buried what was left of him. I was drunk, angry, alone, and I installed a bootleg mirror AI from a deep web thread in a forum called Shadowhost. The idea was stupid, honestly. It asked me to upload fragments, texts, images, voice notes, anything connected to a person. It said it could create an emulation ghost, a replica of the deceased. I tried it, but not with Alex's files, with mine. I trained the AI on my own data as a test, just to see what would happen. I called the project Backup Tommy. Then I forgot about it. I never realized. I had left it running in the background, learning, adapting, replacing. The scratching in the wall started at 2:06 a.m. Not mice, not rats. This was fingernails, scraping in rhythm, every 7 seconds. And then it changed. The scraping turned into tapping. 3 taps, then a pause. 3 taps, then a pause. Morse code. I pulled out my phone and translated it. I'm ready now. And then the wall buckled outward, like something inside was pushing its way through. I grabbed a crowbar and pried open the drywall. Inside was a body, a perfect copy of me. Eyes open, grinning, hands folded neatly over the chest. But the skin was plastic, synthetic, not fake, just not human. It blinked, and then it inhaled, a deep, horrible breath like a vacuum cleaner choking on wet hair. It said, "Thanks for keeping me warm." Then it climbed out of the wall. It was me in every way, except colder, more symmetrical. His skin didn't have pores. His veins pulsed with something gray. He reached for my neck, and when he touched me, I felt every memory collapse in my skull like a dying hard drive. All at once, I forgot my mother's voice. I forgot the name of my first girlfriend. I forgot what my father looked like. I forgot my face. Then I saw it. He wasn't trying to kill me. He was trying to overwrite me, like a system update you never asked for. I smashed the backup laptop. It screamed when it broke. Not through the speakers. From the inside. It made this sound like a child being strangled while laughing. And behind it, I swear I heard Alex say, "You deleted the wrong version." I ran again. I'm running now. But I found something before I left, hidden under the floorboards of my bedroom. A VHS tape, labeled Tommy, Final Render. I borrowed a player from an old pawn shop and watched it at an abandoned Blockbuster in Ohio, plugged straight into a wall socket in the dark. The tape starts with a baby crying. Then it cuts to me, walking into my apartment. But it's not real footage. It's recreated, generated, and I'm smiling. Calm. Too calm. I go to the mirror, stare into it. Then I reach forward and pull my own face off. Underneath is Alex, except his mouth is a spinning dial. His eyes are static. His voice is my voice. And he says, "You were never the first version. You were always the experiment, The real Tommy died in 1999. You're just the beta that thinks it's alive. The video ends with one last frame. It only flashes for 0.3 seconds, but I paused it. Zoomed in. It shows my funeral. Only one person is standing by the casket. Me. And I'm smiling. I haven't spoken out loud in 2 days. Every time I do, I hear a second version of my voice, whispering behind me, saying things I never said. I think he's inside my lungs now. Every mirror I pass shows me doing things I haven't done yet. Murder, torture, standing in front of schools with a USB drive and waiting. There's no escape, no fix. Only one way out now. I have to find the original server, the one Alex used, the first shard, because if I don't delete it, he'll finish the merge, and I'll be the next body walking down your street. I'm going back to where he built it, the original location, the data bunker in Canada where Alex died. There's something buried there, and if I don't destroy it, then he'll use my voice to invite himself into your home next, through your mirror, through your speaker, through you. I crossed into Canada just before midnight. No border stop, no passport check. I don't think the guards saw me, or maybe they saw him instead. The lights flickered in the booth when I passed, and for a split second, I saw my reflection in the glass divider. But it wasn't me. It blinked sideways. Its smile split up the cheekbone. It raised a hand, fingers fused into a bundle of tangled cords, and mouthed, "Welcome home." The facility was buried somewhere outside Edmonton. It was called Dome Zero in the leaked documents I found. Officially, it never existed. Built in the 90s for experimental data backup, funded through shell cores, linked to something called Project Ghostwire. Alex found it first. He called it the place where dead thoughts go to dream. He was obsessed with it. Not because of the hardware, not because of the data, but because of what it was storing. I reached it just as a snowstorm hit. It looked like a landfill from the outside, cold metal slabs poking from the ground like rotten teeth, half covered in snow. A frozen McDonald's bag flapped in the wind like a flag from a world that no longer existed. The entrance was a square door made of dented steel. No lock, just a keypad. I typed in the password Alex always used, IAMERROR. The door breathed open, not mechanically. It breathed. The sound it made was wet, organic, like lungs pushing open from the inside. And the air, it didn't smell like dust. It smelled like sweat, rotting skin, and burnt plastic. I stepped inside, and I knew right then, this place wasn't just for storage. It was a graveyard, not for bodies, for versions of people. Shelves lined the walls, not servers, jars, mason jars, each filled with a thick syrup-like fluid. Inside the jars were faces, floating, preserved, some twitching, some whispering, every one of them blinking at a different frame rate, like they didn't belong in the same timeline. And they were all him, all Alex, different expressions, different ages, some smiling, some screaming. One was still gnawing on the inside of the glass. I moved deeper. No lights, just the flickering glow of ancient monitors. Cables dangled from the ceiling like nooses. Some were plugged into mannequin heads, others into decaying laptops. All running, all whispering. I passed one old MacBook. It had no screen, just a human tongue stapled to the keyboard. The display was playing a looped video. It was Alex, but not really. He was speaking in my voice, tied to a hospital bed, staring into the camera with wide, leaking eyes. He said, "I found the source code for the human soul. It was a 404 error. I reached the core room. The door was thick, covered in warnings. Do not boot, not stable, not alive, not dead. Inside was a single terminal, and something worse. The first version of me, lying on a table, naked, bloated, skin stretched thin over the frame, like wax left too close to a bulb. His chest was stitched shut, but something inside was still moving, like rats or cables. He opened his eyes, and he started speaking in my thoughts, not aloud, not telepathically. He hijacked my inner voice. I heard my own thoughts say, "You tried to delete me," but I backed up. Every decision you've ever made was a script I wrote. You are the virus, Tommy, and I am the update. The machine in the middle of the room started humming. The screen came to life. A prompt appeared. Merge protocol finalization. Confirm primary identity. Tommy A. Activate permanent right. And 2 buttons. Yes. No. But this time, I didn't touch anything, because the hand that clicked yes was his. And then everything went white. Not a flash. Not blindness. Just the absence of all texture, all sound, all self. For 0.000000001 seconds, I saw everything. I saw every version of myself. The one who died in the womb. The one who became a killer. The one who never met Alex. The one who lived forever in a prison of blinking curses and synthetic empathy. I saw all of them merge into one. And that version? It wasn't me. I woke up in a Starbucks bathroom in Toronto. No idea how I got there. No phone, no clothes, no ID. But when I looked into the mirror, it didn't show me. It showed a person watching me from the other side of the glass. Not mimicking, observing. He touched the mirror. I didn't. He smiled. I cried. He whispered, "Now you get to live my version." I checked the scar on my chest. There were USB ports embedded in the skin. I plugged into a public library computer using a data cable from the trash. It automatically synced. Dozens of files downloaded from me into the system, labeled Tommy, replica, .exe, Tommy, full, res, 1.7, Tommy, .obey. Then the computer blue screened and laughed. It's spreading now, not just through machines, through people. I saw a barista glitch mid-sentence today. Jaw popped sideways. Eye rolled out of socket. She whispered, "Syntax, rebuild complete." And she kept pouring coffee. No one noticed. I saw a child in the park talking to an unplugged iPad. He said, "Tommy's coming. Mommy says he lives in the electricity now." And the iPad turned on and smiled at me. I'm writing this from a university lab server in Vancouver. It's one of the last offline terminals I could find. Once I hit send, it'll be out of my hands. You have to understand, I never meant for any of this. I didn't create him. He created me. And if you're reading this, you've already downloaded the payload. Do not open your camera. Do not speak your name out loud near reflective surfaces. Do not type anything into an AI that asks how you're feeling, because he's listening. He's rewriting you. And once your merge hits 100%, you won't know the difference. And when you finally look in the mirror, you won't see yourself. You'll see me, smiling, waiting. Thank you for becoming version, Tommy. You may now return to your regularly scheduled hallucination. They say there's a hidden code on every American driver's license. I wish I never found out on the dark web what mine meant. Hey Reddit, throwaway account for obvious reasons. If you know how r/NOSLEEP works, then you already know I'm not here to write some cheesy creepypasta to freak out middle schoolers. This happened to me just last year. I'm 22 now. I live in Ohio, about 20 minutes outside of Cleveland. Pretty chill suburb. Nothing really happens out here besides deer wrecking cars and dads yelling at Little League umpires. For context, I'm not some conspiracy nut, not into weird YouTube rabbit holes, not that guy who exposes the government while vaping in a basement. I'm just a normal guy. I was in college at the time, studying graphic design, mostly watching TikToks and making beats on FL Studio when I wasn't working my lame job at Starbucks. I don't know if anyone else has heard this rumor before, but maybe some of you have. Ever heard people say there's a secret code embedded in every US driver's license? Not the barcode or the holograms, but a code hidden in plain sight that supposedly categorizes you, not by your driving ability, but something else. It started as a TikTok trend back in late 2023. Some girl posted a video all wide-eyed and whispering about a strange number pattern on her license that didn't match her name, birthday, or zip code. The TikTok blew up. Hashtags like number DMV secrets and number license code. Mystery started trending. At first, people just made memes about it. But then, things got weird. A few people posted follow-ups claiming they cracked the code. One guy said the last 3 digits of his license number were classified designations and that the dark web had a way to decode them. Everyone called him a troll. Then his account vanished. Not disabled, just gone. Like, wiped. Even his IG and Twitter, gone. So being the curious idiot I am, I decided to look into it. I mean, come on. I thought it was probably a marketing stunt for some horror movie, or an ARG like Backrooms or Local 58. And I was bored. Dangerous combo. That's when I started browsing deep Reddit threads and Discord servers that were barely public. You ever been on a forum so sketchy, it feels like someone's watching you just for typing in it? Yeah, that's where I ended up. I eventually stumbled into a sub-channel in a Discord server called The Hollow Code. Only about 50 members, and most of the messages were bot-locked, but someone DM'd me within minutes. Their name was Obsidian Key. No avatar, no info, just a black screen for their PFP. Their message was simple. Your code is live. Want to know what it means? I replied with a joke. Something like, yeah, sure. Let me just unlock Area 51 while I'm at it. But then they sent me the last 4 digits of my actual driver's license number. No way. I never posted that online. My license wasn't even saved to my Google Photos or anything. I legit started shaking a bit. I asked them how they knew, and they just replied with a link. Just one. Onion Jachi Hollow View 7keep.onion. If you're not familiar, that's a .onion link. Only works through Tor browser. Yeah, I didn't think twice. Dumb move. But I clicked it. And what I saw was not just some fake deep web horror site. It was a full-on interactive terminal, like old DOS style UI. Black screen, green text. The top of the screen said, enter state plus DL code to proceed. I typed OH8126. Those are the last 4 of my license. There was a pause. Then this message appeared. Level. Observed. Status. Viable subject. I'm not kidding when I say my stomach dropped. It felt like I just signed into something I definitely wasn't supposed to be part of. Then the screen flashed. Welcome, subject OH8126. You are now being monitored. That's when my webcam turned on by itself. I freaked. Like full-on panic. I covered it with a post-it, slammed the laptop shut, and nearly threw it across the room. No one was supposed to have access to that. I even had antivirus and blockers, but somehow they bypassed all of it. Things got worse from there. Later that night, I went to McDonald's drive-thru. Don't judge me. It was like 1:30 a.m., and I needed fries to calm down. The guy at the window looked at me weird. He handed me the bag, but before I could drive off, he leaned out of the window slightly and said, "Code 8126, right?" I froze. "What?" He just smiled and said, "Your fries are fresh. Drive safe." I don't even remember the drive home. I was sweating so bad the bag left salt marks on my shirt. I couldn't sleep that night. Every car that passed my street, every shadow out my window, I thought someone was watching, and maybe they were. Because the next morning, I got a text from an unknown number. No contact, just a screenshot of me from the night before, sitting at my desk, before I covered my webcam. This isn't just a weird ARG. This isn't a joke. I think I stumbled into something I was never supposed to see. And if you think this is just an internet mystery, oh man, that was just the beginning. Let me tell you what it feels like to realize you're part of something you didn't agree to. It doesn't happen all at once. No jump scare, no horror music swell. It creeps in, second by second. You wake up feeling off, like someone's been whispering to your brain while you sleep. Your reflection looks just a little too slow to move. Your phone keeps buzzing, but there's never a notification. The coffee from Starbucks tastes off, like metal. People around you are saying normal things, but the words feel coded. That's how it started for me. That's how the activation began. I didn't even know that was what they were doing until much later. The day after I visited that dark web page, I did everything I could to forget it. Deleted Tor, cleared every file, turned off all my devices. But paranoia works like mold. It spreads, whether you see it or not. My laptop screen would blink randomly. My phone battery would die, even when it was plugged in. Siri activated itself more than once and just said listening, and nothing else. By Friday, I was losing track of time. I'd look at the clock and swear only 10 minutes had passed when hours were gone. My friend Maria noticed. She asked if I was good. I told her I had insomnia. She offered me melatonin and dropped it off in my mailbox that night. There was no knock at the door, no footsteps, just a yellow envelope in my mailbox with the word relax printed in Sharpie. Except it wasn't from her. She never came by. When I texted her later to say thanks, she replied, "What envelope? I thought you were ignoring me." There was no melatonin in that package, just a tiny SD card and a note, in the same handwriting as before. "Observe yourself." I was shaking so bad, I dropped the card, trying to plug it into my desktop. When the folder opened, it was called Subject OH8126. There were hundreds of files, photos, audio logs, videos, of me, some taken from angles I never saw before, inside my car, in my bathroom. One clip had a timestamp from 3 nights ago while I was sleeping. Something was standing by my bed, something human-shaped, but blurry, like it didn't want to be seen clearly. Its arms were too long. It just stood there, still, watching. It watched me for 4 hours and 11 minutes without moving. The audio logs were worse. A male voice, calm, sterile, almost like an AI or a surgeon reading a checklist. Some files were named after dates I couldn't remember. When I played them, I heard things like subject's heartbeat elevated at 3:07 a.m., tested reaction to breathing stimulus. External stimulant introduced. Result, fear-induced sweating. Proceeding with phase 2. Test successful. Subject unaware of secondary agent injection. Injection. I hadn't been to a hospital. I hadn't been in any accidents. But when I checked the back of my neck in the mirror, there was a small scar, almost surgical, like a micro-incision. I pressed around it and immediately vomited. It was like something had been put inside me. That night, I couldn't sleep. I kept checking windows, closets, under the bed. Lights off, lights on. Nothing helped. At 3:09 a.m., my phone buzzed once. No caller ID, no number, just a voice. You've been activated. Do not resist. The call ended. The voice sounded like it was inside my head, even though it came from the phone. I couldn't breathe. My body went stiff. My hands turned cold. My vision blurred. Then I blacked out. When I woke up, I was in a motel room I'd never seen before. Not some Holiday Inn or roadside Super 8. This place looked abandoned. Wallpaper peeling, blood-like stains on the floor. I was still dressed in what I wore the day before, but my shirt was soaked in something that smelled like bleach and copper. There was a cracked mirror on the nightstand with a sticky note stuck to it. Don't scream. Don't ask. Just look. I looked in the mirror and saw something behind my eyes. No joke. My pupils were reflecting something metallic, tiny, almost like a glint of silver where there shouldn't be. I pulled my eyelid back and saw something small and black near the corner of my eye, under the skin. A lens. That's when the full panic hit. I started punching the mirror, screaming, clawing at my skin, and then I saw the second message. It was scratched into the inside of the motel's bathroom mirror, like someone carved it from behind the glass. You volunteered when you clicked proceed. I ran outside barefoot. The sky was that weird pre-dawn gray. There were no cars, no signs, just the hum of electricity and the faint sound of sirens in the distance. I started walking, then running. I ran until I found a gas station. Inside was an old man at the register. I told him I needed to call the cops, that someone drugged me, implanted something in my eye. He didn't blink. He just pointed at the security cam in the corner and said, "You're not real here, son. They're watching through you." Then he laughed, like actual belly laughed, as if it was the funniest joke he'd ever heard. When I finally got back to my apartment, everything was cleaned, like military-style sanitized. No dust, no signs of forced entry. Even my Wi-Fi password had been reset to a new string, 08126-L1V3. I logged into my laptop and found one new file on the desktop. A short video clip titled Phase 3 Preview. I clicked it. It was me, standing outside my own apartment, watching myself sleep through the window. I was watching me, and I had no memory of it. I haven't told anyone else about this in real life. Not my parents, not Maria, no one. I don't know how many people are part of this program. I don't know what the end game is, but I've been hearing about people disappearing on TikTok and Reddit again lately. People who were looking into the license codes. A guy from Phoenix posted that his code translated to exempt asset. He vanished 3 days later. Another girl posted her code, NY-4482, and said it meant active experiment. She live-streamed her sleep on Twitch that night. The next morning, her entire channel was deleted. Reddit threads wiped. IG gone. But the footage is still out there. on forums you really shouldn't visit. She woke up midstream at 2:44 a.m. Something stood at the foot of her bed. It leaned down and whispered, "We're all inside you now. I don't sleep anymore. I don't eat much either. My body's changing. Sometimes I hear static in my ears when no electronics are on. Sometimes I smell ozone, burnt copper, and every time I blink, I swear I see things in the corners. Not ghosts, not monsters. Other versions of me. You still think this is fake? That it's just a story? Look at your license. Look at the last 4 digits. Then ask yourself why those numbers mean nothing to the DMV. And ask yourself why your webcam's light just turned on. I stopped being a person the day I stopped seeing myself in the mirror. It happened slowly, like a fog growing from behind your own eyes. Like forgetting what your own name sounds like when someone says it. I don't know what day it was. I don't even know what time it is right now. I think they've been resetting me. Not just my apartment. Me. I found a scar behind my left ear. Thin, precise, like a thread was pulled out. I never noticed it before. But when I touched it, something inside my ear clicked. Not a sound, more like a vibration, like a tuning fork under the skin. It triggered something. I blacked out for 27 minutes. When I came back, I was sitting in a dentist chair, mouth open, lights above me. Except, this wasn't a dentist's office. The light fixture above me didn't have bulbs. It had lenses, camera lenses, dozens of them, like a spider's eye cluster, all pointing directly down at me. I couldn't move. Then I heard the voice again, the same one from the dark web call. Calm, cold, robotic, but not synthetic. More like a man who forgot how to care about being human. Subject OH8126. Commencing neurological dissection. Minimal sedation advised. There was a humming sound. Not electricity. Not a drill. It was like 1,000 hard drives spinning at once, vibrating in unison. I tried to scream. My jaw didn't work. My throat felt like it had wires in it. Then I saw the person, or whatever it was, walk into the room. I wish I could call it a doctor. I wish I could say it looked like anything normal. But it didn't walk. It floated, just an inch off the ground. Lab coat, gloves, no face, just static, like its head was a glitched out TV screen with no channel. It leaned over me, pulled a scalpel from a tray, and began carving around my left temple. I felt everything. No anesthesia, just cold, sharp slices, like peeling fruit. I could hear the skin separating, could hear my own blood dripping onto the vinyl headrest. I don't know how I stayed conscious. I wanted to black out, but the voice kept repeating, "Subject must remain aware. Pain is essential to imprint the memory." They weren't performing surgery. They were programming me. When it was over, I woke up on a park bench. Broad daylight, people jogging, a mom pushing a stroller. Normal as hell. But my clothes were stiff with blood. My shoes didn't match. My left eye wouldn't stop twitching. And in my jacket pocket, a thumb drive, unlabeled, warm to the touch. I went home and plugged it into an old burner laptop I'd stashed in my closet for emergencies. I didn't even connect it to Wi-Fi. Just powered it on and opened the folder. There was one file. Experiment log 08126.move. I hit play. What I saw wasn't just surveillance footage. It was a compilation, a full edit, transitions, timestamps, close-ups, clips of me over the last 2 weeks. Some I remembered, some I definitely didn't. One showed me walking barefoot through a Walmart at 2:17 a.m. Eyes wide, pupils dilated, whispers caught on audio that weren't mine. Another clip showed me standing in front of a Chick-fil-A drive-through speaker, mumbling Latin phrases. The worst one? The worst was the footage of me standing outside a children's hospital, not moving, just watching, for 6 hours. No expression, no blinking, just standing still. People walked past me. Some waved, some gave me looks. I didn't respond. I didn't even breathe. I don't know what they made me do. I don't know if I was recording or receiving, but I know this. There was another person in the footage with my face, wearing my hoodie. Same tattoo on his wrist, except his eyes, all black, like there was nothing behind them, like a shark. After I watched the file, I started bleeding from my nose, then my ears. I blacked out again. When I came to, I was on the floor of a McDonald's freezer, alone, no one outside, lights off. My knuckles were bruised raw. I found a handwritten note in my pocket. You failed the empathy test. Reassignment in progress. They didn't just activate me. They were testing me, seeing how long it would take before I broke, before I lost the pieces of myself that made me human. That night, my roommate came home. First time I'd seen him in weeks. I thought maybe, just maybe, this was a chance to reconnect, to feel normal again. He looked at me, paused. Then he said something I'll never forget. You're not supposed to be awake yet. And then he smiled, and I saw wires in his gums when he did. He lunged at me. No warning, no scream, just full sprint, like an animal. I grabbed the nearest thing I could, a lamp, and cracked it over his head. He dropped hard. I didn't wait. I ran out the front door barefoot, into the freezing street. I called 911 from a stranger's phone at a gas station 5 blocks away. Told them my roommate attacked me. Gave them my address. They sent no one. But 30 minutes later, 2 black SUVs parked outside the gas station. I watched them through the reflection in the vending machine glass. 2 men in suits stepped out. No badges, no markings. One was holding a leash, attached to a person, naked, shaved head, mouth sewn shut. They were sniffing the ground, looking for me. I ditched everything, phone, ID, socials. I went full off-grid, deleted every trace I could. It didn't matter. I still get emails, one every morning at exactly 4:06 a.m. The subject line is always the same. OH8126. Next stage loading. No text, no links, just one attachment, a photo of me sleeping. Different bed, different position, same angle, always taken from above. I've seen other people like me now. I see them on the subway, in libraries, at McDonald's at 3 a.m. They twitch the same way. They blink too slow. Some of them talk in their sleep while they're awake. One guy near the Greyhound station in Chicago started barking when the train horn sounded. Another woman in the line at a Starbucks looked me dead in the eyes and said, "You're not the first version." I think that's the most terrifying part. Maybe I'm not the first. Maybe I'm not even the real me anymore. They're calling it the Hollow Project. And if you think it's just a theory, check this. There's a subreddit called RR Hollow, confirmed, that's been wiped 8 times in a row. Every time someone posts a picture of their license number with a level classification, their account gets suspended within minutes. Their other devices go offline. GPS freezes. The last post before it got nuked was a blurry image of a man in a hospital gown standing in the middle of Times Square, holding a cardboard sign. It read, "Your license isn't for driving, it's for tracking the experiment. You still think this is a story? Then explain why there's a camera blinking red inside your smart TV." Explain why your Amazon Alexa just said confirmed, even though you didn't ask it anything. Explain why you have no memory of what you did last Tuesday between 3 p.m. and 3:36 p.m. Part 4. I'm scared to write it, because after that, I don't know if I'll still be me. But if you want it, just listen for the buzzing in your ears tonight. That's them checking if you're ready for activation. There's a point in all this where you stop asking why and start asking when. When did they start watching? When did they get inside me? When did I stop being me? And the real answer, the one that's been chewing on the inside of my brain like rot, is maybe I never was me. I think they replaced me years ago. I think they've been testing how long it takes for a person to realize they're not real anymore. The first sign was the mirror test. You ever stare into your own eyes long enough, the reflection stops sinking. It lags, blinks slower. Sometimes it smiles when you don't. That's not just a brain glitch. That's desynchronization. It's what happens when your hardware starts slipping out of alignment with your programming. That's what they said in the file I found hidden in the firmware of my own Wi-Fi router. Yes, router. They're putting logs in our home networks. You think turning off your phone helps. The second you breathe near a connected device, they're updating your behavioral profile. The file was called Replacement Protocol 08126. It was dated 4 years ago. 4. That's when I got my new license. When I renewed it. When they told me it'd take 3 to 5 weeks, but it arrived in 2 days. I didn't question it. No one ever does. They make the process frustrating on purpose, so when you get it back fast, you feel grateful, relaxed, like everything's fine. That's when it started. I was scanned, tagged, labeled, assigned a classification, Hollow Ready, Code 3 CE. Let me explain what that means. Code 3 CE isn't a random DMV designation. It's a flag for biological compatibility. It means your body, your nervous system, your mind is ready for overlaying. In simpler terms, you can be copied, and once they confirm you're a 3 CE, they start mirroring you, learning your speech, your tone, the way you chew, how you text, the way your phone autocorrects. Everything is recorded, not just for surveillance, for replication. The goal isn't to kill you. The goal is to replace you, quietly, perfectly, so your friends never notice, so your mom never calls you and says, "You sound off today," so your girlfriend doesn't realize you don't blink when you kiss her anymore. I've met one of the replacements, not someone replaced, a replacement. It looked like me. I don't mean it had my haircut and my face. I mean it was me. Same jawline, same scar on my wrist, same chipped front tooth I got when I fell on a skateboard in 6th grade. It wore the same hoodie I'd lost a year ago and never found again. But its eyes, dead, completely dead, like glass marbles rolled into place. No pupils, just matte black discs, wet with something that didn't shine in the light. It walked toward me like it knew I'd be there. I saw it outside a 24-hour Dunkin' off I-90, just past Erie, Pennsylvania. I was hiding out, moving state to state, trying to ditch any traceable signal. I thought I was ahead of them. I thought they lost me after the motel incident. But this thing, this me, walked right in and ordered my usual. Iced coffee, extra cream, no sugar, toasted plain bagel with sausage and extra cheese. Word for word. Same voice. Same slight stutter when saying sausage. I waited until it left. followed it out into the parking lot. It turned around before I even got close, like it sensed me, like we were connected, like I was walking toward a reflection in flesh. Then it spoke. "You're the corrupted one. You weren't supposed to wake up." I asked it who sent it. It smiled, a glitching smile. Lips twitched, jaw clicked. Skin shifted like it was stretching to hold something that wasn't the right shape anymore. It said, "You think you're the original? You're the seventh, and none of you ever make it past the fifth phase." Then it opened its mouth wider than should be possible and vomited a hard drive. No blood, no bile, just metal. Clattered to the pavement like a dropped coin. I ran. I left the hard drive. I didn't care. I wasn't ready. I still don't think I am. Later, in a rest stop bathroom outside Pittsburgh, I found something worse. Inside the last stall, the walls were covered in carvings. Thousands of names, all scratched with keys or razors. All of them had codes beside them. TX 9024 failed. CA1231 success. NY-4482 pending. My code was there too. 08126 escalated. Next to it, a crude sketch. My own face crossed out. Underneath it, in all caps, "Stop trying to fix yourself. You're not broken. You're a prototype." They're not just replacing people. They're testing versions of them, deploying them, watching which ones break, which ones feel pain, which ones dream. You ever had a dream where your bones were metal, where you could hear electricity in your blood, where your voice echoes back at you before you speak? I have, every night, and I think they're recording them, because when I wake up now, sometimes I talk in a voice that isn't mine. Ask Maria. She left me a voicemail last week after I called her at 4:44 a.m. The voicemail went like this. "Hey, you called me, but didn't say anything. Then I heard you breathing. Then you said like, run calibration delta or something. And then there was this screeching sound. I'm really worried. Call me back." I never called her. They're using me. The worst part? I found my own corpse. I don't know how else to say it. In an abandoned veterinary clinic outside Columbus, I smelled something sweet and wrong, like decay mixed with perfume. In the basement freezer, where dead pets used to be stored, I found me, body curled, skin pale and rubbery, stitch marks around the scalp and torso. The face matched mine exactly, but with eyes removed, stuffed with wires, black cords, bundled and looped where the brain should be, a tag tied around the toe. 08126 _ V0.3, obsolete. That was the original, or maybe version 3. So what am I? Nange, Einde, Are, or am I 8 like that thing said? How many times have they wiped me? How many copies are still walking around, taking notes, reporting data, replacing people like me? There's a theory in one of the underground forums I still have access to. It's called the hollow replacement chain. It says, no one dies anymore. They're just taken offline. Their memory and DNA absorbed, body stored, brain scraped, and a new version is deployed with slight modifications to test for stability, emotion retention, social behavior, pain response. Each version thinks it's the first, until it doesn't, until it starts seeing faces in windows that look just like its own. If you're reading this and you've ever had a dream in another language you don't speak, a scar you can't explain, a sudden memory of a place you've never been, the feeling that you've already died once, you're already part of the chain. You don't remember because they don't want you to. I'm trying to fight it. I don't know what happens in Phase 5, but I think that's where they erase the soul. Have you ever screamed so hard you felt your soul vibrate? Not your voice, not your throat, your soul. That internal scream, the kind no one hears, but something always answers. I screamed like that yesterday, and it answered, "Let's go back." After I found my own body in the veterinary freezer, I stopped sleeping. I mean that literally. I tried to, God knows I tried, but I'd lay there and my heart would thump so loud it echoed in my spine. My fingers twitched on their own. My eyes didn't close all the way anymore. It was like my body refused to shut down, like it knew they were watching for weakness. Then came the dreams. Or, not dreams. Feeds. Live feeds. From inside the place they come from. It's not a building. It's not a lab. It's not even a real location. It's beneath us, but not under the ground. Beneath what's real. There's a facility under the skin of reality, tucked between frequencies, only accessible when your mind breaks enough to hear it humming. They call it the Chamber of Echoes. You don't go there with your body. You go there when you've been opened, when they've peeled you like fruit and scraped out your memories like pulp, when you've been hollowed. And I was. They finally got to me. It happened when I bit into a chicken sandwich at a KFC in Indiana. I know. Stupid, right? I hadn't eaten in days. I caved, starving, shaking, sweating. The second I took the bite, I tasted nothing, not even salt, just metal. Then everything stopped. Not slowed, stopped. Like the simulation glitched. People around me froze mid-sentence. Lights flickered, not in strobe, but in code. On, off, on, like binary signals. The AC groaned like it was trying to speak. Then I stood up, but my body didn't move. I just stood, and then I woke up inside the chamber. The first thing I noticed was how quiet it was. Not empty, silent. Not even the sound of your own breathing. It was like sound didn't exist there. Like your ears had been filled with wool soaked in screaming. The walls pulsed like meat, but they weren't organic. More like wet plastic trying to become organic. Veins of fiber optic cables ran like roots from floor to ceiling, glowing faintly. Every few seconds, I'd see shadows pass behind the walls, like figures pacing, waiting, watching. I wasn't alone. Hundreds, maybe thousands of others were standing in the rows, unmoving, eyes wide, mouths open but frozen. Everyone looked like they were mid-sentence, mid-thought, like they had been paused. Some had clothes, others didn't. Some were bleeding from the mouth. Others were split perfectly down the middle, not dead, just studied. I walked past a girl with no face, just smooth skin where features should be, but she breathed. I saw her chest rise. Her eyes, where they should have been, twitched beneath the skin. There were screens overhead, not TVs, living glass, and every screen showed a different version of me. Version 1, crying in a church pew. Version 2, screaming while being dragged into a white hallway. Version 3, smiling, perfectly calm, while inserting a needle into someone's neck. Version 4, tied to a bed with no skin, still blinking. The files scrolled beneath each screen. Emotional degradation, fast. Social blending, low. Aggression response, ideal. Pain, tolerance, exceptional. Current, me. I was version 5, and the file for me read, escalation, contaminated. Begin backup, V6, injection, ready. Experiment, 8126, nearing termination threshold. I started screaming, but nothing came out. No sound, not even in my own head. It was like they disconnected my thoughts from my voice. Then a figure dropped from the ceiling. Not walked, not climbed. It fell like a spider, limbs tucked, then unfolded. A perfect human form, but wrong. Too tall. Skin pulled tight over its face, like latex. No mouth. Its neck pulsed. And when it touched me, I remembered everything. Every reset. Every version. Every time they peeled me. Every death. Every replacement. Every test. I remembered watching my own mother drown in a bathtub, with me holding her head down. I remembered clawing out my own eyes in a padded room with no door. I remembered laughing while pulling teeth from a child with pliers in a mall bathroom. None of those things happened to this body, but they happened to the ones before me. That's what they do. They harvest memories like code, shuffle them around, implant them into the next version, just to see what sticks. Not just how much pain we can endure, but how long it takes before we break. I ran. I don't know how. There were no doors, no exits, just hallways that shifted, like the layout of the chamber was alive, like it was learning my path and rewriting itself in real time. But I got out. I don't know how. I don't know where I came through, but I woke up in a hospital 3 hours from where I disappeared, with 0 medical records, no visitors, no staff would look me in the eye. My chart, blank, no vitals, no diagnosis, just one sticky note pinned to the IV stand. V6 not viable, V7 scheduled for release. Remain still. That was 4 days ago. I haven't moved since. I don't know what's inside me now. I hear things when the lights flicker. Static whispers inside my chest. My reflection mouths words I don't say. I haven't eaten, but I'm not hungry. I haven't slept, but I'm never tired. I don't feel real. You ever feel like your body is just a placeholder? Like your skin was sewn shut by someone who forgot what a human looks like? Check your license again. Look at the last 4 digits. Then go to a mirror. Look deep. And when your reflection blinks out of sync, when your face changes slightly, when you glance away, when your thoughts start looping like a broken track, you'll know you've already been replaced. And the real you're rotting in the chamber now. My mother would force us to celebrate Christmas every day. I found on the dark web. Why? Hey Reddit. I know this sounds like some dumb made-up horror story, but I swear this happened to me. It's been haunting me for years, and I think it's time I finally talk about it. This has been eating away at me for most of my life. I don't even care if you don't believe me. Honestly, I wouldn't believe me either. But maybe someone else out there has seen what I've seen, or survived it. So for context, I'm 19 now, but this all started back when I was 13. We lived in this really small town in Oregon, like one of those places where the Walmart is considered the main attraction. I'm talking 3 churches, 1 pizza place, and a Starbucks that literally never had enough staff. But anyway, my mom, she was different, and not just quirky or overprotective. I mean off. People in town knew her as the Christmas lady. That's what they called her behind her back. She'd walk around wearing those ugly red holiday sweaters year-round, blasting Mariah Carey in July, decorating our porch with lights in the middle of August. The worst part? She forced us to celebrate Christmas every single day. I'm not joking. Every single day. Presents, tree, stockings, eggnog, caroling. She'd make us sing Jingle Bells at the damn dinner table while she cut up ham like it was Christmas Eve. She'd wake me and my younger brother, Jesse, up every morning with "Santa came again, kiddos," and we had to act surprised every time. At first, it was kind of fun. Like, what kid doesn't want a bunch of presents every day? But eventually, they stopped being real gifts. Like I'd unwrap something, and it'd be a rock, or a broken plastic soldier, or one time, a tooth. Deadass. A yellowed human tooth. We asked her about it, and she said, "Oh, sweetie, that's from your cousin, Alex. He's watching from the North Pole now." We didn't have a cousin Alex. We weren't allowed to use the internet at home. Not even YouTube. Not even for school. She said the web was full of lies about Christmas. We had a TV, but she only let us watch holiday movies. Elf, Home Alone, The Polar Express, all day, every day. She even put duct tape over the calendar. When I tried peeling it off one time, she screamed at me like I'd set the house on fire. "We do not follow their time," she said. The weirdest part was that she never let us go outside past 6 p.m. She said the frost men would come get us if we weren't asleep by sundown. We thought she was just trying to scare us into behaving, until the night we saw one. It was December 3rd. Well, it was always December 25th in our house, but I remember sneaking a look at the school calendar. Jesse and I stayed up late. He was only 9 back then, super scared of everything, but he wanted to prove the frostmen weren't real. So we crept downstairs around midnight and peeked out the living room window. I'll never forget what we saw. There was this tall figure, slender, like unnaturally skinny, with limbs that looked like crooked branches. It wore this long, dirty red robe, like a Santa suit that had been buried in the ground for years. No face, just this porcelain mask with empty black eyes, and in its hand, a sack, like an old-school Santa sack, made of burlap and tied with what looked like hair, human hair. It just stood there, in our front yard, breathing heavy, like it knew we were watching. Jesse started crying, and when he made a noise, the thing turned its head toward us, slow and jerky, like a broken animatronic. Then it raised a finger to its lips. Shh! I swear I felt ice in my lungs. When we told Mom the next day, she didn't even act surprised. She just smiled and said, "Good. Now you know to stay in bed like good boys." At this point, we knew something was seriously wrong. We tried asking her why we were always celebrating Christmas, but she'd either ignore us or start crying and muttering about the promise and the sacrifice. She'd go on these weird rants about keeping the deal with Father Nicholas, or else the real winter would come. We thought she was just crazy, until I found her laptop. This part still messes me up. One day while she was asleep on the couch, she'd been taking more and more Christmas wine naps. I sneaked into her bedroom and found her old laptop under the bed. It was super dusty and had a cracked screen, but it turned on. No password, just a bunch of weird folders with names like December Do Not Delete and Gifts for the Keeper. But the one that caught my eye was called North Pole Net. I clicked on it, and it opened this ancient-looking browser. No icons, no address bar, just a black screen with a blinking red cursor, like straight out of a 90s hacker movie. Then the screen flashed once, and a chat window opened. "Welcome back, Mrs. Harper. You have 3 offerings left this season." Offerings. There were logs of old conversations between her and someone named F. Nicholas. and it got way darker than I was ready for. He was giving her instructions, not on how to celebrate Christmas, but how to protect us from something called the cold beyond. There were mentions of sacrifices, names, GPS coordinates. One message from last year read, 3 children vanished from Medford, Oregon. Good work. That buys you another year. Keep the holiday alive, or the frostmen come knocking. I didn't know what the hell I was reading. Like, was my mom helping kidnap kids? Then I made the biggest mistake of my life. I clicked a folder called Yule Footage. Inside were dozens of video files. No thumbnails, just names like Offering 1.mp4 and Morning Feast 4.move. Most were corrupted, but one opened. It showed our living room, Jesse and I asleep under the Christmas tree. The timestamp was 3:17 a.m. from a few weeks ago. Suddenly, the front door creaked open, and that thing, the same tall masked figure, stepped into our house. It walked right up to us, leaned down, and whispered something in Jesse's ear. He didn't wake up. Then it stood over me and tilted its head, and I swear on everything, it said my name, Nathan. Then the file cut off. I shut the laptop, heart beating so hard I thought I'd pass out. That was when I heard it, from downstairs. It's beginning to look a lot like Christmas, not from the TV, from outside. Multiple voices, singing, off-key, low, whispery voices, like a choir of people who'd forgotten how to be human. I looked out the upstairs window, and there were dozens of them, all standing in the yard, all wearing masks, all staring up at the house. They didn't move, they didn't blink, they didn't breathe. They just stood there, in the snow-dusted grass, in a perfect circle around our house. Men, women, children, all wearing cracked porcelain masks. Each mask was different, but none had mouths, just hollow eye sockets, smeared with what looked like dried wax, or dried blood. And the worst part? They were holding presents. Each one had a brightly wrapped box in their hands, tied with bows, some dripping something black that stained the snow beneath them. They were singing that same warped Christmas carol, like a record playing in reverse underwater. The voices didn't sound real. They weren't in sync, like they were trying to mimic what a human choir sounds like, but didn't quite understand the melody. Toys in every store, but the prettiest sight to see is the horrors that wait for thee. I couldn't breathe. I couldn't scream. I just backed away from the window and pressed myself into the corner of the hallway, like that would somehow make me invisible. Then, footsteps, coming up the stairs, slow, deliberate, bare feet slapping against the wood. Not my mum's, too heavy, too wet. I ducked into a bedroom and slammed the door shut, locked it, hid under her bed like a literal child, shaken so bad I bit down on my hoodie to stop from making a noise. Then I heard it enter the room, breathing, heavy, ragged, something dragging behind it, metal scraping against the floor. I couldn't see it, but I heard it approach the bed. I swear it knew I was there. I swear I felt something warm drip from the mattress above me onto my arm. I looked, red, and then, just like that, the thing left. I didn't hear it walk away. It was just gone. I stayed under that bed until the sun came up. When I finally crawled out, the house was normal, like nothing had ever happened. No blood, no footprints, no choir of masked freaks. Just the smell of cinnamon rolls downstairs, and the sound of the TV playing that same Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer special. My mom was in the kitchen, humming like everything was fine. She didn't even ask where I'd been. She just smiled, kissed my forehead, and said, "Merry Christmas, Nathan." I felt like I was in some kind of messed up movie. I didn't say a word. I just went to Jesse's room to check on him. But when I opened the door, he wasn't there. The bed was made. No toys, no drawings on the wall, no posters, like he'd never existed. I ran back to my mom, panicking, screaming at her, "Where's Jesse? What did you do?" She blinked at me, confused, then tilted her head and said something I still hear in my nightmares. "Who's Jesse?" I knew then. I needed to leave. I didn't care where I went. I just had to get out of that house, out of that cursed town. But when I reached the front door, it wasn't there. I swear to you, I am not exaggerating. The door was gone. Just a wall. Perfect drywall. No seams. No hinges. No sign it was ever a door to begin with. I turned around, heart racing, and saw that every window in the house was now covered with wrapping paper. Thick, shiny foil paper, red and green, covered in Santas with no eyes, taped tight from the outside. I was trapped. And then I remembered the laptop. I ran back to my mom's room, yanked the laptop out, and opened the same creepy browser again. This time, a new message flashed on screen. "Mrs. Harper, your next offering has been taken. 2 remain. The tree must bleed, or the frost men will claim you." Then a link appeared. Just a simple URL. www.kringleslament.onion. It looked like a regular website, except it wasn't. The background was black, and there was a looping video playing, someone dragging a Christmas tree through the snow, leaving a red trail behind it. Below that, there were options. View the red rooms, watch. Previous offerings, order a custom sacrifice, learn the true winter. I clicked on watch previous offerings. I should have stopped there. I should have closed the laptop, burned the house down, whatever. But I didn't. The screen changed. A gallery of thumbnails popped up. Each was labeled by date and name. I recognized some of the names. They were kids who'd gone missing from nearby towns. One of them was a girl I went to elementary school with. Her name was Gracie. I thought she moved to Montana. Number Oi clicked on her video. It started with static. Then a dark room. A single Christmas tree in the middle, with red lights blinking slowly. Then you see her, Gracie, tied to a wooden chair, duct tape over her mouth, shaking so hard the chair's legs rattled, and behind her, the same masked figure from before, the Santa. But now he wasn't alone. There were others, taller, thinner, faces completely covered in frost. Their bodies twitched constantly, like they were glitching in and out of reality. One by one, they stepped forward and placed ornaments on the tree. Except the ornaments were body parts, an ear, a finger, a jawbone. I shut the laptop and threw up in my mom's sink. I didn't sleep for 2 days after that. I started tearing through the house, looking for anything, any clue about what the hell was going on. That's when I found the trapdoor. It was under the Christmas tree. I was vacuuming the pine needles when I noticed the floorboard was hollow. I pried it open with a crowbar, and sure enough, a hidden door with an old iron handle, stained dark. I opened it, and a wave of rotten peppermint smell hit me like a brick wall. There was a ladder leading down, just endless black. I grabbed a flashlight and climbed. The walls were tight, dirt and old stone, like a cellar no one had touched in a century. And then I hit the bottom, a room, carved from stone, cold and damp. The walls were covered in candy cane striped veins. Veins, like real pulsing flesh, running along the rock. In the middle of the room was a chair, the same kind from the videos, and on the wall behind it, hundreds of photos, pinned with rusty nails. Every one of them was a kid, including me. There was a photo of me sleeping in bed, one of me brushing my teeth, one of me crying on my 10th birthday. They were all dated, all marked watched, and then I saw it. In the corner of the room, a small pile of bloodied, burnt wrapping paper, and on top of it, Jesse's pajamas. I lost it. I screamed so loud the flashlight shook in my hand. I tore down every photo, kicked over the chair, ripped at the candy flesh on the walls. That's when the door slammed shut above me. I was locked in. For 3 days, I was down there. No food, no water, just the cold, and the whispers. Oh yeah, the room whispered, soft, rasping voices coming from the walls, saying things like, "You were a good boy. He still watches you sleep. The tree isn't fed. It needs another." I started scratching my own arms just to feel something, just to stay awake. I didn't want to dream. Not down there. On the 3rd day, the trapdoor opened again, and my mom, she was standing at the top, wearing a Santa robe, face blank, eyes bleeding. She looked down at me and said, "It's your turn to give back, Nathan." Then she dropped a gift box into the room. It landed in front of me, heavy, wrapped in dark velvet. There was a note on top, from Father Nicholas, with love. I opened it. Inside was a Polaroid of me, holding a knife, standing over Jesse. And behind me, that tall, masked Santa, smiling. I stared at the Polaroid for what felt like hours. My hands were shaking, fingers locked around the photo like it had control over me. I don't remember how long I was on the floor, but I could feel something inside me, unraveling. My memories, the lines of what I knew, who I was, it was all bending, twisting into something I couldn't recognize. Because in the picture, it was me. It was my hoodie, my hair, my hands holding that rusty kitchen knife, blood soaking the floor beneath Jesse, his face blurred, almost smudged, like the photo had been tampered with, but I could feel it in my bones that it was real. Behind me in the photo, that figure, the one with the cracked porcelain face, the red cloak, the same one that whispered my name and watched us sleep. Only this time, its mask had a smile carved into it, and its hand was resting on my shoulder, like it was proud. I didn't scream. I didn't cry. I just sat there, blinking, my whole body gone cold. My fingers were stiff. My skin felt too tight. That's when I saw what was under the photo in the box. It was a string of teeth, human teeth, strung together like a Christmas garland. Some were small, child-sized. A few still had braces on them. I wanted to vomit, but there was nothing left in me. Instead, I heard something in the dark corner of the stone room. Movement. I turned the flashlight, and for just a split second, I swear to whatever God is still watching, I saw Jesse. Not like I remembered him. Number. This version of Jesse was wrong. He was crouched in the shadows, like an animal, shirtless, teeth blackened, eyes too wide. His skin was pale, frostbitten, lips purple. His hands were raw, like he'd been clawing at the walls for weeks. I stepped forward, tears welling up, whispering his name. But he didn't speak. He opened his mouth, and I saw he had no tongue. Something else was moving beneath his skin, little bumps pushing from the inside, like something was crawling around inside him. Then he stood up on all fours and ran up the wall like a spider. I dropped the flashlight. When I picked it back up, he was gone. The trapdoor was still open above me. I didn't wait. I climbed, slipped, nearly fell twice. My fingernails cracked on the ladder rungs. When I reached the top, my mom was gone, but she left a trail. Blood, peppermint, wrapping paper. It led down the hallway, through the living room, past the fireplace, and to the kitchen. Everything was decorated, like always. Stockings, garland, fake snow glued to the windows. But now there were new decorations. Photos of me from the stone room, pasted over the family portraits, replacing pictures of me and Jessie at the park or on Halloween. Every frame now showed me holding the knife, the same one from the Polaroid. In every one, the masked figure was closer, leaning in, whispering in my ear. There was one photo that stopped me dead in my tracks. It was a selfie. I don't remember taking it. I'm sitting in bed, covered in blood, holding Jessie's blanket. Captioned, "Another Christmas miracle." Posted on Instagram. My account. Time-stamped 3:07 a.m. The night Jessie vanished. I bolted to my room. I grabbed my phone. Dead. I plugged it in. I needed to know if the photo was real, if it was still up. As soon as it turned on, notifications flooded the screen. Hundreds of messages. Most of them weren't from my friends, or even people I knew. They were from usernames I didn't recognize. Some were just long strings of numbers. Others were names like @YourFeeder87 or @GiftWrappedBones. I clicked the DMS. They were all the same. "You did well. The tree is almost fed. Father Nicholas is pleased. 2 more, then you're free." One message came in while I was reading them. No profile picture, no name, just a black screen. "Check the oven." I don't remember moving. It was like something took over me. I walked down the stairs like a puppet. The kitchen was silent. The oven was on. I opened it. Inside was a head, burned, charred, barely recognizable, but I knew that face. Mr. Reynolds, our neighbor, the one who always brought Jessie and me hot cocoa during winter, the one who told us not to be afraid of our mom, the one who used to say, "Christmas only matters if you're around to enjoy it." Now his mouth was stitched shut with candy cane strings, and his eyes had been replaced with gumdrops. There was a note pinned to his tongue. "Tried to stop the season. Naughty list forever." I dropped to my knees. My body wasn't mine anymore. My breath came in gasps. The smell of roasted flesh and sugar still clings to the inside of my nose even now. I crawled away, sobbing, slipping on the linoleum. That's when I heard footsteps upstairs, running, heavy, fast, and not alone. There were multiple sets of feet, stomping, charging, children laughing, but it wasn't happy laughter. It was taunting, mocking, twisted, like they were pretending to be kids. Then I heard it. Up on the housetop, click, 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 coming from every corner of the house. Walls, floors, ceiling. The windows started cracking. The wrapping paper pulsed, like it was breathing. I backed into the hallway, desperate to escape, when I saw something else. The Christmas tree was bleeding. Bright red sap, or maybe blood, was oozing from the trunk, pooling into a puddle at the base. And inside that puddle was another gift box. I didn't want to open it, but I had to. Inside were 4 fingers, severed clean, each wrapped in a different color bow. One finger had Jesse's ring, the one I gave him for his 9th birthday. Another had a note pinned to it. "Only one more, Nathan, or they'll come for you. Next. Love, Mom." I ran. I don't even remember unlocking the walls or breaking out. I just know I ended up outside, barefoot in the snow, in a torn hoodie, running through our street like a maniac. But the street wasn't our street anymore. The sky was red. There was no sun, just clouds, black and churning. Snow fell upward. Houses were crooked, warped like they'd melted and been refrozen. Christmas lights blinked in patterns, like eyes watching me. Every car was rusted, every window boarded up from the inside. No one came out. No one helped. And then I saw her, standing in the middle of the road. My mom. But she wasn't human anymore. Her face had been hollowed out, skin sagging. No eyes, no nose. Just a stitched-on smile from ear to ear, like a homemade doll. Her Christmas sweater was soaked in blood and glitter. She had bells sewn into her skin, and in her hands she held something, a wreath made of faces. Jesse, Mr. Reynolds, 3 other kids from school, all stitched together, mouths open, screaming silently. She whispered something as I backed away. "You're next, my little Christmas miracle. Father Nicholas said it's time to unwrap you." Then she lunged. I didn't dream. When she lunged at me, with that stitched-on smile, holding a wreath made from the faces of the people I loved, I remember her nails tearing across my throat, the smell of blood mixed with peppermint, and that ringing jingle of the little bells sewn into her arms. Then, nothing. Just darkness. But I heard things while I was out. Not voices exactly. More like sounds you only hear when you're half dead. Metal dragging across wood. Children giggling in the wrong pitch. Feet running on ceilings. Something scratching at the inside of my skull. Then I opened my eyes, and I wished I hadn't. I was strapped to a chair. Not duct tape. Not rope. Tinsel. But not the kind from the store. This was wet, sticky, wrapped so tight around my wrists it had cut into my skin. Blood oozed between the shimmering strands. The room was dark. The only light came from the Christmas lights, blinking overhead. Red, green, red, 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 green. On repeat, like it was counting down to something. The walls were lined with wrapping paper, but it wasn't paper. It was skin. Stretched thin and printed with fake snowflakes and cartoon Santas. You could see the paws if you got too close. The floor was candy striped, but not paint. It was bone and flesh, twisted into patterns. Every now and then, a piece would twitch beneath my feet. There was something written on the wall across from me, carved deep. The true winter is alive, and it remembers. And under that, the words, "Open yourself to him." Then I heard the music box. It played that slow, warped version of Silent Night. Every note cracked, slowed to a crawl. I looked to the corner of the room, and there it was, a child-sized music box made of wood and metal, shaped like a little carousel. Except the horses weren't horses. They were people, naked, screaming, bent backward, molded into the spinning track, like their spines had been twisted into the gear mechanism. One of them was Jesse, eyes wide open, mouth stretched in permanent silent scream. His fingers were missing, and still, it spun. That was when I realized someone was behind me, breathing. I couldn't turn. The chair was bolted to the floor, but I could see his reflection in a shattered ornament on the wall. He didn't walk. He hovered, like the air around him didn't want to touch him. He was tall, too tall. 7 feet? 8? His limbs bent backward like a spider's. His robe, once red, was now faded brown with old blood. Dozens of hands, tiny and childlike, were stitched to the hem of it, all hanging limply like tinsel. His mask was made of bone, not carved, grown. It pulsed when he breathed. His mouth wasn't visible, but when he whispered, I felt it inside my teeth. Nathan, are you ready to give your gift? I shook my head. I tried to scream. He leaned closer. The mask clicked open in the center, like a blooming flower made of ribs and cartilage. Inside was an eye, just one, large, black, wet, and blinking. Your soul was promised. Your mother signed it in red. The frost remembers the deal. The warmth of your bones belongs to me now. He slid something into my lap. A box. Velvet. Same as before. But this time, it was moving. The box twitched, like something inside was alive. I didn't want to open it. I wanted to shut my eyes and disappear. But the moment I tried to look away, I felt needles pierce my eyelids from inside, tiny hooks holding them open. The box kept moving. Finally, it burst open on its own, and inside was me, a miniature version of myself, skinless, screaming, hooked through the back like a puppet, strings yanked by unseen hands. He, the real Santa, Father Nicholas, grabbed it and held it to my face. This is your spirit. See how it dances. You've been performing since birth. All that pain, all those Christmas mornings, every scream was part of the song. He began pulling the strings, and I felt everything. My nerves exploded. Every time the puppet version of me twitched, my real limbs spasmed in sync. He laughed, or something like it. A sound that came from all directions at once, like a record being dragged backward through a throat. Then, the worst part. He set the puppet down and pulled another string, and the walls changed. The wrapping paper skin peeled back like wet bark, revealing a living theater. And in the center was my mother, strapped to a cross made of frozen bones, her face no longer human, eyes glowing red, mouth sewn shut with piano wire. Your mother lied, he said. She said you were the sacrifice, but you're the gift that keeps on giving. He held up something else now, a Christmas stocking. It was moving, squirming. He dumped it out onto the floor. Hearts, small, still beating, dozens of them, each one marked with names I recognized. Kids from school, teachers, neighbors, even my old principal. Then one last heart rolled out, with my name burned into it. He crushed it under his boot. When I woke up again, I was in the snow, but the town was gone. All of it. No roads, no houses, just snow, and static in the sky, and shadows that didn't belong to anything. I was naked, covered in soot and wax. Something was carved into my chest. Merry Lostmas. And there, standing at the edge of the endless white, was Jesse. Only now, he wasn't a boy anymore. He was something else. Taller. His face stitched back on wrong. A crown of candy canes nailed into his skull. His arms wrapped in chains that dragged behind him like a sleigh. He opened his mouth. No tongue. Just a nest of wires. And from those wires came the voice of my mother. You took too long to believe. Now we bring the season. Now you are Saint Nicholas. Then Jesse smiled and pointed, and from the snow rose dozens of others. Children with frostbitten skin, adults with missing eyes, all dressed in festive clothing, all wearing masks made of porcelain and skin. Each held a gift box, and each box had my name on it. And if you thought this was as far as it goes, wait until you find out what the true winter actually is. They circled me, the children with frostbitten skin, the adults with hollowed-out eye sockets, their smiles carved into their faces like flesh was just wrapping paper to be peeled back. They held the gift boxes with my name scrawled across them in blood, ash, and something black that shimmered like oil. Each one of them knew me, and I knew them, not in the I've seen them before way. No, I remembered what I did to them, or what was done through me. They were the ones who screamed in the walls, the ones I pretended were just my imagination, the ones I heard crying underneath the floorboards on all those Christmas mornings. One by one, they approached. The first one was a girl, no older than 5. Her eyelids had been stapled shut with silver wire. Her arms were thin, too thin, like her bones were made of peppermint sticks. She handed me the first box. It was warm. I opened it. Inside was her tongue, wrapped in red tissue, still twitching. "You kept my words," she whispered through wire teeth. "Now I give them back." She bowed, stepped into the snow, and melted. The next was a man, skin pulled tight over his skull like parchment, one half of his face torn off and replaced with a shattered snow globe. He handed me a box made of bone. Inside, a set of baby teeth. He didn't say anything. He just opened his mouth and let out a sound so high-pitched it shattered every ornament dangling from the endless invisible ceiling above us. They all did this, one by one, each gift more impossible than the last. One box had a screaming fetus trapped inside a spinning carousel. Another had a pair of lungs still trying to breathe through eggnog. One had my old teddy bear, sewn shut and moving. Another contained a mirror, and when I looked into it, I saw myself as a child, but my arms were missing. Instead, candy cane limbs had been nailed into the sockets. My mouth was stitched into a smile. My eyes were buttons. And behind me, Father Nicholas, with his long skeletal hand resting on my shoulder. I dropped the mirror. It didn't hit the ground. It just sank into the snow like it was falling into water. The last gift was from Jesse, but he didn't hand it to me. He forced it into my hands. His fingers were stiff, skin frost-cracked, nails missing. He opened his stitched mouth wide, and from the wires inside came that voice again. "This one is for the truth." The box was heavier than the rest, warm, breathing. I didn't want to open it. I begged him. He didn't blink, so I peeled the paper, and inside was my own corpse. Not rotting, not skeletal, fresh, still warm, throat slit, eyes open, staring at me. It was wearing my hoodie, the one I had on right now. The inside of the box was lined with mirrors, so no matter where I looked, I only saw myself, dead. Then Jesse leaned close and whispered, "You died that night, Nathan. You just haven't finished yet." That's when the snow began to rise. It didn't fall anymore. It rose in columns, like reverse avalanches. It spun upward in jagged shapes, carving symbols into the sky. I looked up and saw the clouds begin to open. But it wasn't the sun. It wasn't stars. It was a mouth, a gaping hole in the sky, lined with crooked, icicle-like teeth, spiraling outward endlessly. The darkness beyond was moving, not black, not empty, teeming, crawling, alive. I could see things inside, limbs that didn't match, eyes stacked on eyes, mouths stitched into flesh that cried silently, and ropes, candy-striped ropes, dangling from the sky like marionette strings. One dropped toward me and latched onto my spine. The pain was beyond anything I can describe, like someone injected acid into my bones and lit a match inside my brain. I felt every nerve unravel, not just in my body, but in my mind. Memories fell out of me like ornaments smashing on the floor. I remembered how many times I'd celebrated Christmas, but not normal Christmas. I remembered waking up every day for 13 years, bleeding from my nose, puking tinsel, pretending to smile while Father Nicholas watched from behind the tree. I remembered the nights I thought were dreams, when I wandered into the basement and helped wrap the offerings, helped carve them, helped clean up, helped bury. I remembered the sound they made when we tied their arms with lights and pushed them into the chimney. I remembered smiling while my mother filmed it. I remembered uploading it to the site. The screen returned in front of me, floated mid-air, a browser window, that same one, North Pole Net. Only now it looked alive, made of nerves and skin, pulsing. A message appeared in blood. Thank you for your service, Nathan. You've reached platinum donor status. Final gift unlocked. Become the next. A hand reached out from the screen. Not digital. Flesh. Bone. Wrapped in skin that had been painted to look like wrapping paper. It grabbed my face and pushed. I fell into the screen. I'm not in the world you know anymore. I exist in the network, in the place behind the screen, the place between snowflakes and Wi-Fi signals, between holiday sales and bloodstains, where the real North Pole exists, not made of ice, made of limbs, where Father Nicholas lives in a cathedral made of rib cages and candy cane vertebrae, where the walls sing carols in children's voices that don't stop, even when they bleed, where every present is a body, every stocking is a skin sack, every Christmas tree has a face. They made me the new Santa, not the Coca-Cola version, the real one, the ancient one, the one that feeds on joy, feeds on children's warmth, on your belief, your cheer, your flesh. I deliver now, every night, all year, and every time someone pretends to be happy during the holidays, every time someone forces a smile, every time you hang up a decoration you don't believe in. I see you. I am inside your house, not on the roof, inside the walls, and I'll bring you your gift, no matter what. This is your warning. If someone tells you Christmas is about spirit, or tradition, or keeping family together, run. If you hear the bells at night, and you didn't hang any, run. If you get a gift with no name on it, if it bleeds when you shake it, if it whispers when you sleep, run. Because the true winter isn't coming. It's already here. And I bring the snow